Hi guys and welcome back to Is It Worth It Reviews. I'm Sreboljub Stojanovic and today we are talking about headphones, precisely Aune model AR5000s. These are $300 and as you can see these are big chunky cans that go over your ears, and even though they look quite big and massive, they're actually very lightweight. That was the first thing that surprised me. Because most parts here that probably look like metal on the video are made out of plastic, like this whole shell, these parts, and the only metal thing here is this head rail. But parts made out of plastic don't look cheap either. They're not too soft, crackly or anything like that. It's a high quality plastic, and then of course this headband is made out of leather. It's not the softest one that I've personally tried, but it's not hard as, for example, on AKG's either. It's just fine. It's quite comfortable and it sits nicely on my head. I never felt that it's straining the top of my head and hurting me in any way, like for example AKG's. But what helps with that is also, as I said, that this model is pretty lightweight. And cushions are plushy and they sit well around my ears. Nothing is touching or rubbing my ears on the inside because, as I said, cushions are pretty thick and fluffy. For example, Moondrop Para, even though it looks really nice and cushiony, has shallower cushions, and the inner part that covers the driver touches top of my ears a little bit. It's not a big problem, but after a prolonged use, it can be a little bit annoying. No such problems with Aune AR5000s. These are probably the most comfortable headphones of this size that I've personally used. But aside from being lightweight, at least part of that goes to them being very flexible, having nice swivel range, and they're just very cozy and comfortable. Now moving to tech specs, these are not planar, these are good old dynamic drivers. And I'll list the specs on the screen so you can see them for yourselves, but I'll only mention one part. That's high sensitivity. These are pretty sensitive and they're not difficult to drive, which is quite nice, and it's not given on today's market. So you do not have to possess a powerhouse headphone amp to drive these. They cooperate nicely with the widest range of sources. Now, talking about the sound, these are as well balanced as it gets. We have a quite deep and punchy bass line. It has maybe a slight hint of warmth, but not by much. Don't think of these headphones as some really warm and bass-heavy headphones, because they are not. There's just a slight hint of warmth in the bass line and the mid-bass. Mid-range is clear, precise, clean. Edges of tones are really crisp. Microdynamics and snappiness of the sound is great. And highs are once again well extended, but they're not too prominent and dominating the whole sound. So if you're looking for specifically really open, bright and airy headphones, these are not that. They're not dark either. As I said, they're truly well balanced. And then the sound staging is decent. They have good layering and separation of the instruments, vocals, tones. Everything is clearly separated from the thing that is next to it, but the scope of the soundstage is not particularly huge. It's kinda modest, but inside of that modest soundstage, everything is clean, clear, separated, and well arranged. And it's really difficult to find any particular shortcoming to the sound of these headphones in isolation. They just sound really good across the board and really well balanced. which led me to a few comparisons. Now first, I started with two more affordable models like Hifiman HE4XX, and this one is simply not as lively, as detailed sounding. It's a little bit flatter, both in terms of tonality and dynamics, and less exciting. Aune AR5000 is simply a better sounding set of headphones, livelier, more engaging, more detailed, and yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Now, comparing them to AKG K702, these appear to offer the similar amount of details, especially in upper frequencies, but AKGs definitely sound leaner and sharper, and they are not as tonally correct, as full sounding as Aune, which has better dynamics, better punch. They're just more engaging and more neutral sounding, more true to the reality and to tones of instruments and vocals that you would expect to hear in real life. AKG is a little bit sharpened and brightened, and they tend to impress with high frequencies, but they do lack a little bit of substance and core and that full body presentation. So once again, it's a win for Aune, which is a good start because both of these, Hifimans and AKGs, are more affordable. So let's move to some more fair competition, starting with Verum 1 from Ukraine, and these are 350 euros. They're a little bit heavier, they use more metal, but that can be viewed both as an advantage or a disadvantage because they're also weightier and they put more pressure on your ears. So for longer times, longer listenings, I find AR5000s more comfortable. That said, when it comes to the sound, Verum 1 is definitely warmer sounding. It has warmer bass line and the mid bass, and that's also noticeable in the way they produce some things, some tones that we consider to be mid-range, like vocals and instruments that will have more body and a bit more palpability than with AR5000s. So, for example, if I would to listen to something like this, it's a vocal, it would sound more present and more believable, more palpable, like a real thing in space over Verum 1. And that tonal fullness just sounds a little bit more pleasant to me. In terms of detail retrieval and tone texture, they are on the same level. But on the other hand, if you play something that's faster, that has more transients, more quick jumps from one tone to the other one, from silent to loud, etc., like this one, for example, then Verum 1, with its warmth and full bodiness, feels just a little bit slower and slightly sluggish compared directly to AR5000. That does sound a little bit leaner, a little bit flatter in the mid-bass especially, but faster, more nimble. And if you often listen to those kind of songs that include very fast, very technical style of playing any instrument, you might appreciate the speed of AR5000. And in my mind, there is no a clear winner here. If you enjoy slower songs with vocals and predominantly acoustic instruments, just slower tunes, you might prefer Verum 1. And for that kind of music, I did. But if you listen to lots of electronic music, or forget that, not electronic music, just music that has a fast, a quick-paced, technical style of playing instruments, It doesn't have to be electronic. It can be like quick guitar work from flamenco guitarists. A lot of things happening and changing in a short period of time. You might prefer Aune AR5000 and their ability to quickly follow all those changes and to make sense of them. They never stumble, no matter how fast the pace is. So choose your poison, because there is no clear winner between these two. I know you would like me to say, wow, these are better, they kill all the other headphones, but it's just not how reality works most of the times. And my last comparison is with Moondrop Para. These are another pretty great $300 headphones, and they look fantastic. They're heavier. They are also a mix of metal, leather, and really high quality plastics. And to me, at least, they're a little bit less comfortable. It might not apply to you, but for me, yeah, they're comfortable enough, but they're a little bit heavier and they have shallower pads, which after some times rubs my ears the wrong way. That aside, if we talk about sonics only, these two sound quite different. Para has, I think it has more emphasized extremes. So the deepest bass is slightly thumpier with Para, and the highest highs are more airy and they're more emphasized. In many songs, it will just sound wide and spacious and airy in a way that Aune AR5000 just cannot match. It's more closer in your head experience, but there are caveats to Para's sound too. For example, to my ears, it never sounds as well connected throughout the frequency spectrum as AR5000 does. So I mentioned that the bass line is a bit thumpier on Para, but when you go to the mid bass, it's really tight, and then that lower mid range sometimes feel like it lacks palpability and core and boldness. And because of that, I sometimes feel that even though I hear great upper mid-range, great texture, great air, and I hear really deep bass, there is something in between slightly missing. When I listen to pluck of the strings, I notice details, I notice transients and vibrations, but that feel that there is a deep chamber that gives deeper core to those string tones, that is lacking a little bit. And the same is for vocals. They're beautifully rich with texture, airy, and big sounding, but chestiness in them. That deeper chesty vibration from vocal is lacking a bit. And Aune is doing that better. It glues the whole frequency spectrum together better to my ears. Vocals and instruments have more of that lower mid-range core and body. But in the process, you do lose some of the tone texture from the upper frequencies and some of the airiness and wide soundstage that Para here provides. Once again, I'm not sure really what to say if somebody asked me which one to get. Para, in many instances, sounded more impressive and just more attractive. Aune AR5000s have better, more balanced, more faithful to the real life tonality. So the way I see it, it's basically a choice between something that sounds very attractive and a little bit hyper-realistic, like Para, and something that's well balanced and neutral, but just not as impressive. And if you need a tonal faithfulness, if you work with some music editing or something like that, I would say that AR5000 will give a better representation of reality. But if you just want something that will make you go wow and be like, wow, this is super cool and so engaging, you might prefer Para here. Which leads us to the conclusion. Aune AR5000s are not some exciting entry into the market. It's not something that will generate hype and be like, you have to get this, it's a giant killer, it goes head to head with pricier, higher tier headphones. But it's certainly a competent set of headphones that delivers a performance worth of their price. And if anything is the strength of these headphones, in my opinion, that would be that they're so well balanced all around and they're very, very comfortable to wear. And if that's something that you appreciate and that you want to have in your headphones, then you could and you should think about them. And that would be all for today. Thank you for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye.